Hey podcaster, I'm Tim Wahlberg, your podcast performance coach with another actionable tip so you can grow your podcast authority, generate leads, and convert with ease. Today's tip is take your podcast up to 10,000 feet. Don't worry, we're not talking about airplanes or parachuting out of your podcast. We're talking about perspective. As podcasters, we spend so much time inside our podcast that we rarely stop to take a look at it from above. We're thinking about next week's episode, the guest we need to book, the title, the thumbnail, the microphone, the editing, the social post, record, and repeat. Don't get me wrong, all of those things matter, and paying attention to them consistently is key for your podcast's success. But every once in a while, you need to climb up to 10,000 feet. Because from up here, you stop seeing individual episodes and start seeing your podcast as a whole. Now let me explain. Imagine I asked you to describe your podcast to someone who's never heard of it before. Not your latest episode, not your favorite interview, not how much you love it or how many downloads you have, your actual podcast. Could you clearly explain who it's for, what problem it solves, and why someone should listen? If not, you're not alone. As a podcast coach, I talk to a lot of podcasters who are so caught up in the production cycle and getting the next episode out that they've lost sight of the big picture, that they can no longer see their capital P podcast for what it is and what it could and should be. And that's worth zooming out every once in a while to check in on how it's doing. So we head up for that 10,000 foot view. From up here, I want you to take a look at your last 10 episodes. Do they all point in the same direction? Do they reinforce your expertise? Do they build toward the reputation you want to have? Do they build your authority and add to you being known for that one thing? Or do they feel like 10 unrelated conversations, 10 random guests, 10 episodes of the same rehashed idea? It's very easy to drift over time. We all do it. One week you're talking about leadership. Next week you're talking about AI, then offers, then the economy. Individually, they might be all great episodes, but together, are they really telling a clear story about who you are and how you help your ideal clients? Here's another thing you'll notice from 10,000 feet. Are you attracting the audience you actually want? Or are you simply attracting anyone who's interested in your topic? There's a big difference. A podcast can have lots of listeners and still not move your business forward, especially if it's attracting the wrong people. Yes, there are wrong listeners. Not all downloads are created equal when you are using your podcast as a marketing tool. So zoom out and look at your episode topics and who they are likely to attract. Have you inadvertently drifted away from creating magnetic content that feeds your marketing funnels? And finally, ask yourself this. What job is your podcast doing for your business? Is it building authority, generating leads, nurturing prospects, creating speaking opportunities, supporting your existing clients? Or is it just producing episodes? Because your podcast wasn't created simply to give you something to publish every Tuesday. Let me say that again, because a lot of podcasters fall into thinking that their job is to publish every week. So you have to remind yourself that the point is not publishing. It's creating content that attracts and connects with the right audience. Every episode should have a purpose. It should have a job inside your podcast strategy. The reason I encourage my clients to take this 10,000 foot view every so often is that it's very easy to become busy without being intentional, to focus on the work of getting every episode out. You know, you're recording, you're editing, publishing, promoting, checking downloads, planning the next episode. Before long, you're working in your podcast every week. But you've stopped working on your podcast. And that's where strategy lives. Sometimes the biggest breakthrough doesn't come from creating a better episode. It comes from realizing you're creating the wrong episodes, or speaking to the wrong audience, or inviting irrelevant guests, or solving the wrong problems. That's what you can see from 10,000 feet. So every few months, I encourage you to step back, climb up to 10,000 feet. Look at your podcast as if you were seeing it for the very first time and make sure it's doing the job you created it for. Your last 10 episodes can tell you a lot. As soon as I'm done here, I want you to pull up your podcast and have a look at those last 10 episodes of yours. Because when your podcast is aligned with your business, every episode becomes easier to create. Every guest becomes easier to choose. Every topic becomes easier to prioritize. And your listeners begin to understand exactly who you are, what you do, and why they should keep coming back. And I hope that's just the tip you need. If taking that 10,000-foot view has you realizing your podcast isn't as aligned as you'd like it to be, I can help. This is exactly what we do inside our podcast tune-up. Together, we'll step back, look at the bigger picture, and make sure every episode is helping move your business forward toward the goals you created the podcast to achieve. If you'd like another set of eyes on your podcast strategy, click the big orange button at podcastperformancecoach.com and book a free podcast coaching call. I'd love to help. Book your free, private podcast coaching call by using the link in the show notes or the big orange button at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Wahlberg. See ya!